got one to show you. This is a FallOut build. So a little different than the normal builds. So what we did here is we took a brass dial. I used some brass ager on it to give it kind of a more distressed look in there. And then we went around and pipped it. Those were gold hands that I also did an ager on too. So in some lights they're shiny, and in some they're dull, which is I thought looks really cool. That's a custom painted seconds hand. That's black with a tan dot, just to kind of go with that background. And then I soaked the case in hydrochloric acid and got this nice kind of matte finish. And I don't know, in person and in certain lights you can see distressing on it. Yeah, you can kind of see it back in there. Just whatever the hydrochloric acid did to it. And you can definitely see it versus the crown, which is more shiny. There, you can see it right there. The caseback is a brushed kind of finish on this one, so it kind of blends in decently with it, but you can see the difference from here to there and from there to there. We did the same thing on the shark tooth bezel, and apparently that's a different metal grade because it kind of gave it a goldish, bronzish, distressed kind of look to it. So I don't know, thought it turned out pretty awesome. So then we did a black ghosted ceramic insert, which is very easily fingerprinted. So you touch it a little bit, you're going to get a fingerprint. Like, I need to wipe that off right there, but if I do, I'm going to definitely just rub my fingerprint across it, right? So maybe that's off now. It's off. So we did a radioactive engraved crown on this. That lower profile exhibition case back on there. Stainless steel movement holder in there. Black rotor. And then we did one of my custom two-piece Italian leather straps with nice smooth painted sides here. This one has just a little fold over kind of rivet screw there just to kind of give it some character. Off-white stitching on this. Did my logo branded on it, so you can flip it around this way. You can spin this around, have it on top, whatever you want to do on that. And then a brushed clasp on this. Sometimes I try and soak these as well, but they do not turn out always the way I want them to. Sometimes you get blues and stuff in there, and it was definitely not going to kind of flow with this. So I just kept it in that standard stock looking manner. So that is your build, Zach. I hope you love it, man. It's definitely super cool in person. Yeah. There it is as a whole in all its glory. So I go over this with everybody, and Zach already knows, but in case you're watching it and you don't know anything about it, my watches have a bezel that turns left and right. It does not click. It's held on with a tension ring. Automatic mechanical, so you can wind it, you can wear it, you can put it in a watch winder. But if it's dead or you're not going to be very active, you want to pre-wind it a little bit. Now you do that as you back the crown off the threads until you hear it and feel it clicking. And you'll see a little bit of play and you'll know you're off the threads. At that point you can wind. And a wind is a turn in that direction. Going backwards is nothing, but it's a lot easier to keep your spacing. And just go back and forth rather than this kind of method. Which you can do that if you want. But it's really easy to start threading it back on. So I kind of keep my finger against it. Just go back and forth. So if you do this for 4 or 5 seconds before you put it on, even if you're not very active, you'll keep time throughout the day. And if you do it for something closer to 20 seconds, you are going to max out your 31 plus hour power reserve, which is what I do to make sure these are running the next day and everything's set properly on them. Make sure it's keeping time right. If you pull it to the one and only click, you can now set your time. It's not a hacking movement, so it's going to keep going. And you've got a wobble crown, so it's going to deflect lateral pressure against the stem from going into the movement. It's by rolling that as you're pushing and pulling on it. So to help with it, I just kind of hold it back just a little bit so that I'm not putting any kind of flex into that. Okay, Google, what time is it? Should be about this. 7:05. Also, makes it nice and easy to push right back over and thread down. Now yours, Zach, just so you can kind of see there, you are just slightly over because this is a big bezel. So when you're screwing it down, when you get close to the end or starting it, you are going to hit your bezel just a little bit just because it's such a big bezel. But you already have a build from me, so I'm sure you're familiar with it, but I just kind of have my thumb kind of rested out here. It's not really grabbing around it, whereas the back of my finger is around the whole thing. You can just start threading it right off, thread it right back down. It's pretty simple. You're just not fully going over it with your thumb. You're just kind of balancing it out here and squeezing. So that's all. So that is your build, sir. I hope you love it, man. It was interesting and fun to build, and it turned out really well. As always, collar matching beads, up to you whether you wear them or not, but it'd be cooler if you did. So there is, that's where it's tied off in there. It's inside that one, so you're in the know. So we have that one bead there that's super big hole in there. Matching box, got you a FallOut box here. Please, phone, just look at what I'm showing. So a little special edition FallOut box for you. And as always, with every build, you're going to get watch cleaner. This is good on all glass and metal parts, which basically this whole part here in the center. You're also going to have some leather conditioner. This is Italian leather. It is super, super, super soft, but you're going to have a little bit of time getting it to conform with you just for a little bit, just because it's nice, thick leather, but it's soft. It's easily pliable. But if it ever doesn't feel soft, or you want to work it in a little bit more, use some of this included leather conditioner. Just rub it on there, let it soak in, remove any excess, but let it set up and get in there. This will last as long as your strap. I promise you there's a bunch in there. Use it sparingly. A little bit will go a very long way with it. But that is your strap as a whole, and this will keep it perfect. And then lastly, you're going to have some fine scratch remover. This is an acrylic glass, and you can scratch it, but if you do, no worries. Put a tiny bit on there, buff against that scratch using your included microfiber, and just use what you need because you're just filling the scratch. The rest of it's not going to go anywhere other than soaking up into your rag and possibly getting pushed in down under your bezel, which you don't want that because you're going to have to blow it out with canned air. So just use what you need. Put a tiny bit on there, buff against it, 15 seconds, generate some heat. You will solidify that real quick, and it will go back to being perfect. So that's your build, man. I appreciate you a ton. Thank you for letting me build you something, and good thought on putting that in hydrochloric acid. Like I said, we didn't know what we were going to get, but what we got is flipping sweet. And if you think, hey, I want one just like that, chances are, one, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do something similar, but not the same. And two, we don't know what's going to come out. That was 2 days of doing it. 2 days. I've done stuff before, and it's looked completely different, like super faded out gray. I've done these where they almost turn black. So you just don't know what you're going to get. Yeah, so that's the build, man. I hope you love it, dude. And I'll get it shipped out to you tomorrow. So if you want me to build you something custom unique, reach out, and I'll see what I can do for you. And if you want to continue to see videos like this, like and subscribe, as I put them up all the time. Thanks, guys.